This is Questions of Life. We're looking at fake news and what the truth is. This is the next part of our conversation. So if we bring it down to not necessarily a celebrity level, but to our level, how do we deal with the truth? How do we protect the truth? I mean, we talked a little bit about going back to the source, but how do we do that in our everyday relationships? How can we be people of the truth?
I think it's really important to be people of truth, to renounce exaggerating.
But that's easy to do, isn't it? We tell a little story, we embellish. Is that really wrong?
Yeah.
I make myself look better, you know.
And it just grows. It snowballs.
I know. Yeah.
I think we need to address exaggeration. We need to address our desire to tell people things they didn't already know. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're telling them the truth, but sometimes it's best to shut up and not let things become gossip. I think we need to research and make sure that we don't pass on things that are untrue, and that we come to look for places that are more trustworthy than other places. And to have our eyes open that we can be deceived, but to try to listen to sources that are more trustworthy than others, that don't have an agenda, and therefore to pass on to others or to challenge things that others are saying that are not true.
Sometimes in Christianity, you hear the phrase share for prayer. You know, being people of the truth doesn't mean to say that we always have to say what we know. You know, you don't have to tell everybody, oh, such and such is ill with this or ill with that. And I'm going to be really controversial now and get myself into trouble. And you're looking very scared. But we have a weekly email. And in our weekly email, we have prayer points. And people very often want to know exactly who that person is. And we're all for protecting privacy. People don't always want everybody to know. They don't want everybody emailing, oh, I'm so sorry. As much as it's coming from a good heart. And there is a sense that we can still pray for people without having to know everything and their exact name, that just because we have the best of intentions to want to pray for people, again, that doesn't mean to say that we share everything that we know. We have to retain this sense of confidentiality, and we don't always have to tell everyone everything that we know. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
But also, alongside that, do we have to be truthful all of the time? Now, that's a strange question that I'm asking. So say I say to you, Donald, do you like my hair? And you're sitting there thinking, like my mother, Cath, it needs brushing. You need to get it cut. You can't get it cut because we're in the middle of lockdown. You know, it's a frivolous example. You could sit there and say, yeah, Cath, actually, I hate it. Is it okay to dodge the question and to not tell the truth? Where's the line there?
Well, there is a fundamental difference between telling the whole truth and lying.
Yep.
So there are times when to betray confidence is wrong, and so we don't say everything we know. We respect confidentiality. There may be people who have wrong motives for trying to find things out. So that I don't necessarily answer a question. It's not lying. I'm refusing to answer the question. I think there are times when it is good to find ways of neither lying nor telling the whole truth.
So what would you say about my hair?
It's interesting. it's well, there are kind of phrases like it's different to how it was. You've spent a lot of money on it. You've changed it. I don't know. I mean, I get into all sorts of trouble. It's really difficult. It is hard. And there's a place for sometimes saying, sometimes if people ask you the question, then they deserve the answer. They shouldn't ask the question. But I would rather be known. There are two things that I would want as my reputation. The one is I want to have a reputation for not gossiping. So I would rather people say, Donald didn't tell me anything, than Donald will tell me anything I want to know. And I also want a reputation that if I do say something, that it's trustworthy. And to lose, it takes a moment to lose people's trust, and it takes years to win it back. So I think we want to be people who try to speak the truth, but we have to be people who withhold saying things at times, because that is more important. That is a greater act of love, to withhold saying things. Sometimes that's really tricky and difficult.
Some people have like a saying that they say to themselves, is it true? Is it helpful? Will it build somebody up? Do I need to say it now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's
You
brilliant.
know, just trying to work that out.
Yeah.
And I'm not always sure we're so good at any of those things. I hold my hands up.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it is okay not to say the whole truth, but it's
Unless
not.
you're in a court of law where you swear, and that's the point of swearing. I swear to say the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
The reason we do that is because in other places in life, it's not appropriate to say the whole truth.
Yes.
You might say, anybody might say to me, tell me about a member of the church. I am not going to tell you everything I know about that member of the church.
I can vouch for that. I've tried many times. You are very, very good. There's a phrase in the Bible that says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. This sense of being a person that people know you have integrity, that what you say is true.
Yeah.
And we want to be known as those kind of people.
And because I think one of the most precious things we can give a person is the experience of being listened to. And lots of us go back to mental health, lots of us carry something that we just wish we could tell somebody.
Yeah.
And once we've told them, to know it's safe.
Yes.
And it's not going to be something that other people comment on, other people laugh at, other people try and give advice over. We need places where we can be honest. To do that, we need confidentiality. To do that, we need to be people who are known not to say everything.
One of my biggest fears when I first became a Christian was that if somebody prayed for me, they'd have the gift of revelation, and that God would tell them everything that I've done that I'm deeply ashamed about. And so I didn't go for prayer for many years as an early Christian, because there was stuff that I hadn't worked through, stuff that I felt guilty about, and I had this sense, oh, well, God's obviously going to tell them and they're going to want to talk to me about it. And then I decided I would only go and pray for people that I would only be prayed for people that I wouldn't see again, because I didn't trust that if I share who I am, because I've been quite hurt and damaged in my life, it was a lot to trust somebody with me. And so I was like, I'll trust someone that doesn't know me, because then there's no repercussions. They won't know anybody that I know. It won't go any further. And that was really sad. Both of those things were really, really sad, that I didn't feel confident enough to just say, do you know what, this is me. This is my baggage. This is what I'm worrying about. And believe that somebody could hold it and pray with me and not judge me and love me, and it would be okay. I mean, I'm in a different place now, and eventually I got over that. But I think that's an issue for so many people. And I think some people have been hurt and let down in that area in Christianity, that they have shared, they have trusted someone that, you know, please pray with me about this. And somehow it's got out. And that can be one of the most damaging things ever. And we have to closely guard and protect that. And I think we make sure there are people in positions of responsibility in these areas that do have the right character, that are trustworthy, and that are accountable. But that is so damaging when that goes wrong, and that isn't adhered to. Okay, so we've got fake news, we've got trust, we've got us, and how do we trust? There's stuff going on at the moment. Let's think of COVID. Let's think of the vaccine. It's really interesting, people's response to this vaccine. There's probably three responses. There's a group of people that are like, there's a vaccine coming, we can go out and do whatever we want. There's a group of people like me, great, let's get the vaccine out there, I'm up for taking it, whatever is going to, help bring an end to this. And then there's a group of people, no, don't trust that. Don't trust them. I'm not taking that. Again, it's just this minefield. What's going on, and how do we get to the truth?
I mean, I'm really concerned about the effect that this has on people, this lack of trust and the fear that's out there. And I said at the beginning that the problem with beliefs is when you base your belief on what you want to be true, or when you base your belief on what scares you the most. And the vaccine issue falls into both camps. So there are some people who say, I desperately want a vaccine, therefore this must be safe, therefore it's fine. And then there are a group of people who say, I'm so frightened that there's a world plot to control me, and that if I take this vaccine, Microsoft or somebody is going to be controlling me. I think we have to seek and search for truth and probability. I don't subscribe to the view that evil is that clever. And I don't think there is a motive for control.
No.
I don't think there is really... I don't think that's credible to me. From me, people of compassion are doing their best to try and help and find something. So I choose to trust that. And again, where does the rumours about vaccine come from? It's very mysterious when you get to who first said it, where did it first come from? And
Russia.
and well, there's a fear that there's
Yes.
an interest in stopping people taking it.
Yep.
To destabilise a community. But I guess for me, the bottom line is, I don't want to be driven and led by fear. I do want to be driven and led by hope.
Yeah.
I don't want to believe crazy things just because I want them to be true.
Yep.
But if I'm going to err on one side or the other, I want to err on the side of hope, not fear, because I don't think God intends me to live my life ruled by fear. And I guess the bottom line is that unless it's abundantly clear, if I take the vaccine, and I end up being controlled by some superpower, I think God is bigger than, and He'll work me a way out of that. And I would rather trust God in that than be afraid. So I think, and you come to this conformity, non-conformity, I think we've got to, again, if we're going to believe something against the majority, and clearly being a Christian, I am believing something against the majority, I've got to be really sure that there's some truth in this. But when it comes to other areas where the majority of people are saying, no, this is safe or whatever, I think I've got to be really sure that my fear isn't superstition. And superstition is a profoundly strong emotive in human beings where we're just so scared of life that we have these things that we think we need to do to be safe. And I keep going back to it. Jesus comes to set us free from fear. So I think we've got to ask ourselves, where is the place of fear and where is the place of conformity? And have I got these things right in balance?
I think where we're at with the vaccine is a miracle. I think there's been many millions, if not billions, of Christians around the world that have been praying for a vaccine.
We've been praying in our live streams for it.
Every week, I pray myself. We all pray, this is what we need. And now that we have it, it's just really interesting people's reaction to it. So my prayers now move on to people's response to it. So keep praying for those that are researching it and its administration. But then I move my prayers on to, and that we would be accepting and receiving of it.
It distresses me greatly. I'm just go back to America. I saw a clip of some folks who were desperately distressed that Donald Trump, in their view, had been cheated. And their fears of what was going to happen to America, I thought, well, that's not going to happen to America. Whatever the good or ill of Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, what they fear isn't going to happen, it seems to me. But I felt tremendous compassion. They were so afraid. And it seems to me a lot of folks are so afraid of what they've been told. Whether it's in politics, whether it's in health matters. And somehow for us to find a place of walking daily with God, and whatever the world throws at us, we'll overcome. And we mustn't live lives of reactive fear. We must live lives of hope.
I think lives of reactive fear are not ideal. Again, if we go back to America, you look at the distress of people, but you look at the people that have armed themselves with guns, the potential for violence, civil unrest. It's just huge. It could really escalate further and get completely out of hand. And that is just born out of fear and mistrust and misunderstanding, which is why truth has to be the way we go.
Yes. And truth to me will always speak of love.
Yes.
It will always speak of grace. Truth will not provoke violence.
No. No, truth is about the peacemakers, the uniters, those that look for the oppressed, the poor, the captive. We set people free. We raise people up. We don't squash them down and suppress them and name call and everything else, which in the heat of the moment is difficult. But that's what we're looking for, and that's why we need to pray for our leaders. That's why we need to pray for the leaders of our nations around the world, because they're such key figures. You know, we here in the UK, as you've already said, we've got enough of our own issues to be praying about and people to be praying for in that whole area. I've got a message in from Amy. I heard a comedian once tell a story about honesty. When a woman asks, "Does my bum look big in this?" or "Does this dress look okay?" never look, just say yes. As soon as you look, you're in trouble. They then start assuming you looked as you were unsure. She goes,
Okay. I know nothing about these things.
So apparently you don't look.
Okay.
Because if you look, you're like, oh, yeah, maybe. Okay, we are moving towards the end of our time. Anything else that you want to talk about that we've not yet mentioned?
No, not that I can think. Just to encourage people to... I guess one of the things I would say of myself is that I believe in seeking truth. I think that's a lifelong journey. Therefore, I have changed my mind on things.
So is that a deliberate thing you do? It's a deliberate decision each day. I am looking for the truth.
I wouldn't say each day, but...
I'm not just modelling my way through life.
Yeah. I think it's important. I'm in my 50s, and it's important to not just believe what I've always believed, but to challenge and to question. And there are aspects of things that I have changed my mind on. And I take seriously that Jesus saying there is the risk of us being deceived. And whatever I hold strongly, I need to keep questioning it. And if it's true, it will prevail. It's the same with doubt. You know, doubt is a good thing if it causes me to question and to come out the stronger. So we mustn't be afraid of questioning ourselves, of looking and recognizing, okay, am I just believing what I want to believe, or am I just believing what scares me? Or am I just believing what everybody else says? Or am I refusing to believe what everybody else says because I think I need to be different? And working out where we are on those things and just being honest with ourselves and reevaluating all the time. And don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid of saying, I used to think this, but you know what? I realize now I was wrong on that. All of that has led me closer and closer to Jesus and more and more convinced of what we talked about, the truth of who he is. But some of the things I thought about Jesus, I was wrong. And I'd got it wrong. And I think there'll be things in 10 years' time, I will say, you know, the way I answered that question on Questions of Life, I was wrong. I've gone back and looked at it and I've got it wrong. And I think that humility and willingness to seek the truth and always I'm always suspicious of people who know the answer to everything, which is really a bit crazy. These things where you ask me all these questions, don't trust me. Because if I knew the answer to everything, I would be bound to be wrong. So just encourage people to seek truth. Don't think you've got it all wrapped up, neatly packaged, and you know everything. Okay,
my final question for you. Lots of people go looking for the truth on the internet, particularly about Christianity. So just quickly, how do you know which is a good Christian website to look at, which is a good church? Because there's so much out there that we would say that's not healthy. Health, wealth, prosperity.
Yeah, follow the money.
Okay.
Don't go for anything that's about money.
Yeah, so pay for your prayer to be answered.
Never have to pay for it.
Don't have to pay to have a handkerchief sent to you.
I think you look for the nature of Jesus. You look for grace. You look for humility. gentleness, kindness, peacemaking, loving enemies. Most of the reasons why I don't have something to do with certain preachers or websites or whatever are because they break those principles. I don't think they behave like Jesus. So don't believe everything you read and hear on the internet. It's far better to go with people you can question and challenge. And, you know, if you hopefully with us, there's a relationship. You can email us, you can text us, you can ask us questions, you can talk to people who know us, you can come and visit our church. Just be very careful of the people you can't actually get to and see. But if they're asking for money and if they're looking for power and if it's all about them and it's all big, spectacular, showy charisma, and if they're telling you who to hate and if they're telling you who's wrong and if they're telling you where everybody else is getting it wrong, I don't think that's the way of Jesus.
So if people have questions, if they've come across something, they can always email us. They can get in touch and we can talk that through. Because I know of many people that want to just find out something, a little bit about an area of their faith. And so they'll go off searching or listen to a sermon or a podcast. And we're not trying to control people. We're just trying to help people find the truth.
I think the pattern of Jesus is to always use the humble, the small and the insignificant. You are more likely... I might disagree with this in a year's time, but this is what I'm going to say tonight. I think you're more likely to find Jesus in the local small church than the big internet presence.
Yeah. Because
Jesus is out there in every community, in every small little church. Will have its faults, have its problems like we do, but they're gently, quietly seeking to serve God in their community. That will be the place to find God more than the big things with millions and millions of subscribers.
Brilliant. Can we thank you for joining with us today? It's been fantastic to have you with us. Do come back on Sunday or do come next week. Have a look at our website. There's loads of other resources there. But from Donald and myself, we will say cheerio. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.